Okay. Hi, YouTubers. My name is Jacqueline Sarah Homan, and I'm the author of 4 books, and I'm a freelance writer and unembedded journalist. And I'm, bringing to you a live update on the war on women. If anybody who doesn't really believe that there has been a war declared on women in this country, either their male privilege has insulated them from the consequences that women, specifically poor women, across all racial lines, have been suffering, or they're in la-la land denial. Last year, April 25th, 2011, Republican Alan West made the following statement before the conservative women's group, Women Impacting Nation meeting. And Mr. West said, "We need you to come in and lock shields and strengthen up the men who are going to the fight for you. To let these other women know on the other side, these Planned Parenthood women, the Code Pink women, and all these women that have been neutering American men and bringing us to the point of this incredible weakness, to let them know that we are not going to have our men become subservient." Apparently it's okay for women to be treated like abusable doormats, and we're supposed to, just take that, right? And he says, that's what we need you to do, because if you don't, the debt will continue to grow and the deficits will continue to grow. So, ladies, did you hear that the deficits racked up by over a decade-long worth of perpetual warfare in the Middle East, benefiting primarily defense contractors like Raytheon, Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, Blackwater XC, that have driven up the deficit by getting, blank checks cut to them for these wars? Those were women? Eric Prince is a woman? Who would have thought? Wonder if his wife knows. The CEOs of AIG, Bank of America, Lehman Brothers. Wait a minute, Lehman Brothers? Oh, wait a minute. Those weren't women. All these beneficiaries of taxpayer bailouts to the tunes of trillions of dollars, that is what has sunk this country's economy and driven up the debt and the deficit. Not poor women who are struggling just as hard as poor men, if not harder, who just want to, be able to defend their bodies from either a medically dangerous or an unplanned, unwanted pregnancy. And you can choose to moralize that any way you want, but the facts are what they are. And you can feel free to fact check on who benefited by going to Thomson Gale online and looking up who the CEOs and other high-powered executives are that benefited from all those bonuses and all that bailout money from all those companies and banks that took away from you. Okay, not the poor single mom getting food stamps, not the poor single woman with no children who's long-term unemployed, who just wants, who needs to have her birth control pills through Planned Parenthood or her IUD replaced or what have you. We're not the ones who caused your problems. Your problems were caused by a predatory, economic, cannibalist bunch of psychopaths who subverted the law to suit their own agenda. Now, for those of you who really believe that this war on women is really a war for the unborn and a war for life, you're wrong. Because criminalizing abortion and birth control has not saved one baby, but it's killed a lot of women and fetuses. All you have to do is look at the Philippines and at most Latin American countries where, and Central American countries where abortion is illegal even to save the life, of the mother. It's, left a lot of dead women and dead fetuses and a lot of broken survivors that were left behind to pick up the pieces. It's not going to make your life better, okay, by hurting women. For anybody who says that these conscience clause laws and these fetal personhood laws that were inspired by the U.S. Conference of Catholic bishops and the Southern Baptists and the Mormons, who all follow the same tune as the same directives, set forth by the Vatican governing, medical treatment of pregnant women in hospitals. Let me tell you, these directives have resulted in the torture, the medical torture, and preventable deaths of women. Because what these directives call for is to, avoid any kind of medical treatment that would be considered, an abortifacient. That means women with ectopic pregnancies, their fallopian tube is going to burst. The embryo is not going to make it anyway. The best treatment for them would be a drug that is prohibited under the directives. So what happens when a woman with no other place to go for health care has an ectopic pregnancy, presents at a Catholic hospital? She's left to suffer in utter agony until her fallopian tube bursts, and then undergo invasive surgery from which she may not survive anyway, because fallopian tube bursts, she may hemorrhage to death if septicemia doesn't get her first. And other cases for medical abortion, for saving the life of the mother or preserving her health, include in utero fetal death, which, if the fetus doesn't expel, causes the internal tissues to necrotize. Again, that's a deadly condition for the woman. Placental abruption, placenta previa, pulmonary hypertension. These are just some of the many situations where, pregnancy really does endanger a woman's health and life. And women have been killed through this. Angela Carter died because of fetal personhood laws that elevated the rights of the fetus over her human right to life. A woman who presented at St. Joseph's Hospital in Phoenix, Arizona in December of 2010 with pulmonary hypertension, the doctors agreed that she had nearly a 100% chance of dying if her 11-week-old fetus was not aborted because she had pulmonary hypertension, which is fatal when you're pregnant. In fact, pregnancy is often the trigger of that disorder. Sister Margaret McBride on the medical ethics board at that hospital authorized the life-saving abortion and was excommunicated by Bishop Thomas Olmsted, and in addition to that, fired from her job for saving this woman's life. This woman who had 4 other children who would have been orphaned. There are many other cases where women, have been reported in the IBIS study that was recently released, where doctors reported from hospitals across the country that because of the directives, they literally could not give the patient the best medical option. And instead, women were forced to suffer in agony for hours until their fallopian tubes burst from ectopic pregnancies. Because the drug to treat it, they weren't allowed to administer that if they wanted their job at the hospital, that is. So I'm going to tell you medical community people out there, doctors, nurses, forensics, sexual assault examiners, what have you. If you say that you're being forced to go along with these types of laws, including the medical rape laws of mandatory ultrasounds, which are not about saving lives, it's really about slut-shaming women for having sex, but not the men who had sex with them, mind you. If you really feel that you have no choice, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. And you're not being apolitical. the most dangerous side of the road to drive on is down the middle. And you do have a choice. And if you go along with this heinous agenda that's being presented by congressmen who are sociopathic, misogynistic, and quite frankly, not fit to be in public office. If you're going to go along with these agendas that are directed by misogynistic death cults, like the Catholic Church, sorry, but just telling it like it is, if you decide to go along with that program because you're just obeying orders or doing your job, you're no better than Joseph Mengele. My grandmother fled with the clothes on her back by night and fog to get away from monsters like that, and she came here. And at age 45, I, as her granddaughter, am downright disgusted that anybody in the medical community would put their narcissistic ideology in these culture wars ahead of the well-being of their patients. If you do not want to do your job, if you don't want to prescribe birth control, if you don't want to perform an abortion because it conflicts with your moral beliefs, then please get the fuck out of the medical profession. We don't need you. Just like the medical profession didn't need Joseph Mengele or Dr. Herta Oberhauser, who justified their heinous practices in the name of ethics and morality. It is never ethical to deprive a sentient human being of the most fundamental of human rights, which is their right to health, to bodily autonomy. We fought a war over tyrannical, fascist despots in Central Europe over this, in the name of freedom, in the name of humanity. And if you think that women are just going to take this on the chin and not fight back with every fiber of our soul and every fiber of our being, every essence of who we are, even if you think we're not human, even if you think we're just farm animals and reproductive livestock, you got another thing coming. And if you think that this is a win-win, it's not. Because the very next group of people that these same ideologues will be coming after they've come after us, they will be coming directly after you. But don't take my word for it. Don't let pesky things like facts get in the way. Ciao.